Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, buckets on buckets on buckets and defense resembling an NBA All-Star game. Red Raider Hoops giving us a lot to process.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet wins, you're getting $300 in bonus bets used across the app. So download the FanDuel app today with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan, back again with a little bonus edition. Chris, appreciate some time to catch up with you on the other side of a hoops call where we saw the Red Raiders get a win over Northern Colorado. And on this episode, we will get to what is upcoming. Of course, that is a big date in New York City with the Blue Devils of Duke as your non-conference gauntlet rolls on. You get a win, and then you have a post-game press conference with your head coach that seemed to have a non-winish vibe sort of about it. So I want to talk about the urgency and some of the intensity that is a part of your situation right now as the stakes only increase with your final two non-conference opportunities in front of you. Big 12 play just around the corner. But Chris, I simply put on our rundown to begin our conversation something that you said to me when we were discussing this basketball combo. There's a lot going on there. And a lot to consider. So I would love to turn it over to you to discuss, yes, what we saw in the ball game most recently, but in general, a lot of different things and moving parts kind of heading in different directions, it seems like right now.
Yeah, 101 to 90. Yeah, free tacos for everybody in the arena, I think, or something like that. I'm just kidding. You know, usually
I'm buried the lead.
Yeah, when you get 100 points, they usually give away something. No, this was again, a lot going on. So I don't know how we want to layer this. We can just, I don't know, good, bad, and ugly, or however we want to phrase it. Lawan Watts' career night. I thought, he was kind of what you had been not waiting on, but I think you really saw it all. He just couldn't miss. And it is funny because he tied. That's who he replaced. But he tied Darion Williams being 12 of 12 from the field from a couple years ago, or maybe that was last season. But he came in with a career high of 24 points, just blows past that. Just at some point, it was just like it was his world, man. It was just everything he threw up. It was going in. He had some rebounds and assists to go with it, but goes for 36. Got to the free throw line repeatedly, able to knock most of those down. I mean, he was just he was in a zone, as they say. And that's, golly, if he'd have just mixed in a little bit of that on Saturday, maybe you get a different outcome. But he got in foul trouble, and it just – so I don't know where we go from here with him, but you're seeing more glimpses of what he is capable of, okay? And you just need to see – you don't need 36 every night. That's unrealistic. But if you can get some consistency there to where, like, I know what I'm going to get every night out, that would go a long ways there.
I think seeing a team that's at a different level whenever you've got, I'm not going to say 36-point impact, but Lawan Watts' impact as well, Chris. It's like, I don't know, there's a different muscle or something there for the team. Lean in for expert analysis. When you've got him as an impactful scorer, and I don't know how consistent you can expect him to be through Big 12 play, but definitely a different type of force. But really, I don't know about everybody else. That was fun to see. But the 90, and certainly something noticed by your head coach, the defense or lack thereof, just not going to get where you want to be with kind of the standard that we're seeing, unfortunately, too consistently not reached right now.
It's as if we're living in this alter universe right now. It's bizarre. Your football team has one of the best defenses in the country, and all of a sudden your basketball team can't stop anybody. It's like we've past each other in the night here. It's the damnedest thing. And I mean, it's just like, because your entire eclipse into a different level of a program basketball wise has all been built on defense. And the diving on the floor, the different people in charge, the different schemes, all of it has just kind of been based on this defense. And yet right now I feel like you can score with most teams in the country. You just can't get stops. This is because like teams like Sam Houston and New Orleans and now Northern Colorado, they just get into the paint at will. And you are afraid at what will it look like whenever. I mean, Arizona is like a fire-breathing dragon right now. You know what you're going to get in Duke. Houston lives and breathes by punking teams, and so you just, I mean, it's going to have to change quick. I mean, because of your next, am I doing the math right? Yeah, I think Duke and Houston are two of your next 4 games. Those are, I think, in the middle of that is Winthrop and Oklahoma State. So, I mean, this is just we knew this was coming. And so, okay, and Grant said, I appreciate his transparency because he's not trying to sugarcoat. He's not sitting up there trying to tell you. And he could have really gone all in on Northern Colorado being really good. And people won't want to hear that, but they are. They won 25 games last year. They went to the NIT. They shared the Big Sky Conference Championship, all that stuff. They average 87 points a game. They're one of the top field goal percentage teams in the country statistically. They are off to their best start in program history, all that stuff. But what most may not know is they were also missing their best player in Quinn Danker, who is a guard that averages 17 a game. He broke his hand, and yet they still – kind of did what they wanted to. I mean, there was some big time shot making, but then there was just some uncontested stuff. There's some one-on-one stuff. They felt way too comfortable, and you outscored them. You won the game. And you may look back on this one and go, that was a pretty good non-conference win if Northern Colorado continues to do what they've been doing. But folks, I mean, Duke. It's a whole different thing. And I felt like you like against Arkansas, you saw some glimpses of what it could look like, but again, you were kind of scoring with them. It wasn't because you got a ton of stops. I mean, you allowed them to get into the 90s. So this is becoming a bit of a habit. Now, here's part of the problem that Grant simply can't fix. And this is the part that sucks. He is helpless in this aspect. You don't have Luke Bamboye against Arkansas. He is thought to be your lone rim protector. And then he goes out halfway through the first half, against Northern Colorado, does not return. And you may not get good news on that injury. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you don't get good news, but it concerns me. And I think you could tell that it concerned Grant.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
It's not that big of a deal. Maybe you don't get good news, but it concerns me. And I think you could tell that it concerned Grant. And there's just not, I mean, and so it kind of has led to the conversation, because I want to bring up Jazz Henderson as well too, because this is a different topic and a different issue with this team that has nothing to do with defense yet, but it kind of ties in with this conversation now. It's like, what buttons do you realistically have to push here? Because I think Josiah Mosley, I don't think they plan to redshirt him. That's just, I just don't think that they do. I think it's taken a bit longer to get him right than they were hoping for. He would absolutely be helping you in just a body and a twitchy wing that you can kind of spin up, spin down a little bit. He would have fit in that Arkansas game perfectly. He looks like what those Arkansas guys all look like. Long, 6'8", athletic, can play inside, outside. Just he looks like a Big 12 basketball player. But you haven't had him. And then Mariella Kuntak is limping around with a knee brace on. That doesn't look promising. For the first time, I think they have fully intended on redshirting Latrell Hoover. I think depending on what kind of news they get for Luke Bomboye, they could consider saying, okay, we tried it. We got to have you, bud. And I'm not expecting some quick fix. I think they're redshirting him on purpose because I think he's raw. But they knew they needed some depth with a big when they brought him in as a late addition. And maybe they would consider saying, hey, let's go. He looks the part. I haven't seen him play at all. And I'm just going to take their word for it that they think he's a bit too raw and, wouldn't have been able to help. But they, depending on the injury situation with Bomboye, we'll see. But Grant has said, and he said it now. He said it to me after the Arkansas game. He said it to the media after the Northern Colorado game. I have got to commit to playing more people, and I've got to commit to playing people that want to defend. And basically, it was like Nolan Groves and Leon Hoover are next up. I think you give away a little bit in experience. You give away some size, but maybe you don't give away and want to. And I think that's that Grant is kind of pointing to. It's just it's like, do we remember when he was hired, the conversations that everybody was having, and some met this hire with like, man, I don't want to watch a 53-51 style of basketball. And it's just funny how this is because the guy knows defense. I mean, he is phenomenal at a coach in general, but this is just a weird set of pieces that you're trying to push together and meld and everything when you don't really have all the ingredients yet. And so you haven't been really allowed to put the team together that you'd hoped for because of some of these injuries. And it's hard to make an offensive team a defensive juggernaut, because without some of this size and rim protection and ability to stop guys from getting downhill, there's just nothing to stop it. And I'm not saying that Bomboye being healthy and would stop it, or Josiah Mosley being healthy and Mariella Kuntak would, but it would certainly limit what teams could do and alter their thinking and all that. But you just haven't had the chance to, and that's the part that's frustrating for, I know, Coach McCaslin and Coach Linder and the whole staff, because there's nothing they can do about that. And so, because you can't make a guy want to play defense. All you can do is, I mean, like to quote Bob Knight, ass meets bench, bench meets ass. That's the best, that's the best thing you can do, or really the only thing you can do in this sense. And yet you will give up a lot in some aspects if you play, Leon and Nolan more, but that may be what he's going to do. Now, what does this look like Saturday night at the Garden? I have no idea. It would be really a lot to ask those two guys that are younger and inexperienced and all those kinds of things, and drop them in the middle of the Garden, the world's most famous arena, in the Big Apple against an undefeated third-ranked team in the country that has plenty of draft picks, but it may not be about the Duke game. It may be about we've got to send a message and start to set a tone going forward because we just can't keep watching what we're doing here. So I don't know. It is fascinating. Now, can we get to Jazz Henderson?
Sure.
Okay, because so Jazz Henderson played some last night, and as I look at it, he played like 2.5 minutes. Okay, not much to speak of, but this was Grant breaking the seal on trying to extend his rotation a bit. But what Jazz does that I think Grant really likes, there's some things that he doesn't like too, but the one thing that I think he does like is that he's got some juice to him. He talks, he communicates. Grant talked about this after the game was over. It's like anytime I have a question to ask about the game plan or where somebody's supposed to be on this play, Jazz is always the first one to answer it. He knows what everybody's supposed to be doing, and he's not afraid to. His personality is he's going to be a juice guy. He's going to talk. He's going to communicate. He's going to point and say, hey, you need – and he's a younger guy too, right? This is a redshirt freshman. Played with JT in high school. He won 3 state championships. He's got some pedigree, but he's a smaller kid. And what Grant has not liked about him is his ability to guard the ball. And I think what Grant said after the game was over is like, I told Jazz all summer, you want to play any, get better at defense. That's your way to do it. But I also think Jazz brings some energy and some communication skills to this team because it's a team with a variety of personalities that are mostly either new or quiet. And this is something we talked about a month ago when we were kind of looking at what this thing was going to look like. And I think he's committed to – it's not an anti-Christian Anderson thing. I think it's, if anything, like Christian Anderson is playing the most minutes of anybody in the Big 12 Conference to start. I think they're trying to get to a point where, like, that's not sustainable. That's not fair. We've got to – and we're looking to extend our rotation, so enter Jazz Henderson. But you just don't have anybody to sub in for your size at all. There's just not a lot there, especially if Bamboye is out. So it's a fascinating situation. It's not ideal, but it's a bit scary right now, Cowan, because if we're being honest with ourselves here, you kind of look like a bubble team right now. That's just the harsh reality of what you look like. And we were talking, can you win the Big 12? Are you a top 10 team in the country? There was a lot of chatter and expectation about this thing before the season, and that's just not what you're seeing because of a lot of the issues we've talked about here. You're not healthy, you're not good defensively, and it just hasn't quite been put together yet. And you don't really have a good resume win. Your LSU and your Wake Forest games are quad 1 wins, I think, now. Will they stay that way? I don't know. But it's going to be a tough ask to go into New York and beat Duke, especially if you don't have Bamboye. But gosh dang, man, this is just, it's not what anybody would have kind of thought. But you can score with anybody. You really can. And it's not – they're not doing anything complicated. They're running simple pick and rolls. They're posting up. They're letting their shooters fan out around the perimeter and kind of playing off of that. They're running two-man games off to the side of the floor. There's not a whole lot of complex. You just have a lot of skilled offensive players that are good in one-on-one situations or are willing passers, and you have shooters. This is what you brought in. You brought in shooters with length, but maybe you and it's not that you're like, would you have done something over again? Because I think you tried to bring in defense. You tried to Bamboye was a rim protector. I think Josiah Mosley was this role-playing, twitchy wing that can do a variety of things, that can defend and rebound, but you just haven't seen him. So it's quite the conundrum that you're sitting here staring at you right now because conference plays, a couple weeks away. You've got two more non-conference games, and that's it.
That was what I was going to ask. Do you think that they just missed on guys that they were looking at or misidentified guys? First, today's episode brought to you by Omaha Steaks, and the holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift. And Omaha Steaks makes it simple to do just that. And whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks is going to deliver handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. And every time you give Omaha Steaks as a gift, the reaction is going to be the same. Excitement when the box arrives and even bigger smiles when everything hits the grill. And you can always bank on top shelf quality with incredibly tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting or weeknight cooking easier than ever. Honestly, it's the kind of gift that brings people together and you don't even have to guess anyone's size. So save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks this holiday season. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use our promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. I find it hard. I mean, we're talking about like you can't make an offensive team into a defensive team or offensive players into defensive players, but I just am surprised to hear that they would add someone they felt like they'd have a hard time getting defense out of, given what Coach McCaslin is. So was it just misidentification, or the guys are not what they thought they were?
Well, I mean, you know, and if you can't ever get Bamboye healthy, you could argue that was just a miss just because he couldn't stay healthy. It's like, we should have, you know, I mean, what was Federico, would he have been better? However that went down and whatever caused him to go to him, because he's not even hardly playing a ton for A&M. And who knows? And you don't know when I think Josiah Mosley was a sneaky good ad. You don't know that he's going to get dinged up back in June and then have a lengthy issue. I mean, there's no way to know some of that. So part of that is an unknown, but I think you kind of wonder, and he's, I think, still kind of coming back, and you could tell that he's talking to himself or thinking about it too much. But like a Tyree Bryan, he's just not super confident. You could see his teammates going up to him after these attempts. Like, so Tyree Bryan, he was 0 for 3 from behind the arc. This is a kid with, I think, 155 career threes. It's in there, man. It is. This is why they took him. But now he's thinking about it. I'm watching Donovan Outwell going, dude, keep shooting. Like, you know, stick with it. But so there's just some doubt there. But when it's, you know, he's not a lockdown defender. So, and we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater at all at this point. You're just kind of trying to figure out why you are 8-3 and you just gave up 90 points and people are frustrated. And some of that all has to do with, there are just raised expectations around here. Okay. In other years, you would have been like, damn, man, we can score with anybody. This is a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoyed that. They scored 2.
Yeah, but that always kind of rings hollow because you just know what wins when it gets to winning time. Like, I remember sometimes Pat Knight scored 120, where I was like, wow. I'm like, yeah, I bet it takes us exactly nowhere. And it'll shrivel up when you get into the Big 12.
Yeah, this is in the NBA. This is not the NBA.
So I'm like glad to have the buckets, but there's like this elephant in the room, right? When it comes to what we're about to face.
Because some nights the shots just don't fall. I mean, Duke gives up 60 points a game on average, 60. They only give up 7 threes a game. I mean, they've got length all over the floor. They've got athleticism all over the floor. They're healthy, I think. And so it's just, the whole thing is a bit frustrating. And Grant is continuing to acknowledge it. I think he's continuing to be positive and trying to motivate and trying to, because the film doesn't lie. When you watch this, you know, when they rewatch it, they will see plenty of getting beat on backdoor cuts, no help side defense, people not rotating over, protect. I mean, just, you know, there's just a lot there. And again, you only have had 3 players before last night's game. You've had 3 players that had played in all 10 games prior to last night. Just 3. Crazy. But that's part of your problem too. And it's also one that Grant can't necessarily fix that part. But if Nolan and Leon are willing to defend and dive on the floor and be dirty work, and maybe it doesn't look as good offensively, but maybe you can improve, or maybe you get some guys' attention. So that's kind of what you're staring at right now. There's just not, but I am fascinated in the Latrell Hoover button. In a way, I hope you don't see him, because that would, I think, mean that Luke Bamboye is out for a period, and that's not ideal at all.
That's not good for anybody.
No, it's just not. So, but yeah, talking, defending, there's just there's a lot going on, as we said.
Wanting to, urgency, intensity, all the things that come with being a sound defensive team. Not seeing often enough, or at least consistently enough yet. Still plenty of season to come. We know it's a talented roster. I think you have a quality head coach, and hopefully they can bring it all together. But you've got a huge challenge with huge opportunity coming up this weekend. Looking forward to that. Help us God on Hut. Ready, break. Chris, appreciate a little extra time to catch up on the hardwood, my man. We're going to be talking more football before the week is done, so looking forward to that one, and we'll see you then.
Hey, man, sounds good. We'll keep hope alive. This altered universe is a weird existence, but this is where we are right now. Doesn't mean it will stay that way. I hope that the football side continues to stay that way, but I'm going to keep the faith, man, and we'll see if we can't get this thing turned. It's not broken. It's just it's wounded. It's just missing something. So, but you stick with it. We've got a long, long way to go.
The duality of, college sports, one sound defense at a time on campus. I don't know, but let's try and shake it up and get a few going concurrently, because I do feel like that's the quickest way to getting back to where you want to be with league play just around the corner. January 3rd, January 4th, Oklahoma State will be ready to roll.
January the 3rd at it's like 1 or 2 o'clock on a Saturday, and Coach Lutz's team is much improved over last year. They went and added to their roster and invested a bit, and because what you're going to see is some of these teams that even aren't amongst the group we're talking about that are going to be much better and sneaky good, and Oklahoma State could be one of them.
No doubt. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Appreciate the everydayers, sometimes twice or more a dayers as well. Thank you to the Matador Mob, and hit our show notes to find a link to a free 14-day trial. If you're interested in joining that crew, your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.